Saturday the 15th of September 1990 at Southdown Gliding Club in West Sussex. This is the occasion of our Diamond Jubilee celebration, and we have another celebration also to honour today, namely the Battle of Britain. It's the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Britain, and we're combining that event with our own Diamond Jubilee. This morning we have Joan Cloke, our president. Joan, good morning to you. Can you tell us a little bit about Firle way back in the 50s?
It was the place of the first 1922 meeting in the whole of Britain when gliding started in England. And then in 1930, because nothing very much happened at that time, there was another meeting. And from that, most of the clubs in Britain started, and especially 5 clubs round about here in Sussex, one of them being the Southdown Sky Sailing Club, which became Southdown Club. So when we went there in the 1950s from our first site after the war, which was Friston, we were going back home, as it were. But it was very tough flying, very hard. The ground was undulating. We were too close to the sea for the rising air that we like to fly on. So it was a very hard life there.
But people flew and enjoyed the flying. But I think before that, Joan, there's something even more significant about the South Downs, about Amberley and Amberley Mount. Perhaps you'd just like to tell us a little bit about that.
In a curious way, Sussex is connected with aviation from very early times. And in 1909, the first soaring flight took place from the Downs over there, Amberley Mount. And it was in the glider that was designed and made by the father of one of our members, Josie Weiss, who's now 83, I think. And this first soaring flight, at which they really didn't know very much about how aeroplanes flew, actually took place there. And then later, in 1912, the first gliding club in the world, the Amberley Gliding Club, was formed there. And they flew as a real club until the war came. If it hadn't been for the war, I think they would have been significant developments in Britain. It would probably have outstayed the rest of the world.
Well, that's most interesting, because clearly when the club moved to Parham in 1974, this connection with Amberley Mount sort of finally put the seal on our connection with the early days of gliding. How was it in 1974?
We moved lock, stock and barrel one Saturday and flew on the Sunday. And we had to learn how to fly on a site like this, which is different from Firle, but very, very, very interesting. And we developed over the years, learning as we went and flying very carefully, very safely. And now we have learnt to fly across country, going westerly mainly. And last year we did 30,000 cross-country kilometres, which puts us very near the top of the voluntary clubs in the country.
So, with all of this history and heritage that we have, how perhaps, Joan, do you see the club going over the next 10, 15, 20 years?
I think it will continue to develop because the potential is here. It's a marvellous site. We can fly when the north wind blows 50 miles along the down from Petersfield to Lewes. Very few clubs can do that. We have fine soaring conditions with thermals from the very warm land here, which is almost pure sand. And we have waves. So it's a very fine club, very fine site with potential. I think we can only develop. But we have the problem that our lease here ends in 2001. And this is a worry to me. What shall we do?
But somehow, Joan, through all of these last 60 years, the club has overcome many, many problems. And I'm sure that you and the rest of the team will find ways and means of solving that particular problem. Thank you very much indeed. One of the really nice things about Jubilee celebrations is to meet old friends. And today we're lucky in meeting Chris Hughes, who learnt to glide at Friston in 1948 and then went on to Firle, where he became chief flying instructor. Chris, you're very welcome at Parham today.
Pleasure to be here.
What's it like to come back again?
I think the incredible thing is that the atmosphere of the Southdown just doesn't seem to change. It's always pleasant, it's always welcoming, and it is always a very great pleasure to come back to the club.
So you're meeting old friends?
There are so many old friends here. We came in and were greeted by someone who we knew when we were flying here, and it was so pleasant, so pleasant.
That's marvellous. Now, I understand that today you fly from Nympsfield.
That's correct.
Good
yes.
flying up there?
It's superb, yes. Like a lot of clubs, these clubs grow and grow, and there is always the problem, but the sport has almost become too popular. But the flying is there as lovely. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the early days at Friston and then going on to Firle. I mean, we talked today about flying for an hour or 2 or 3 hours. How long were your first flights?
Well, the initial flights were, in fact, low hops and high hops with a primary glider. And from then, one went on to flights of 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, finally doing a circuit, 3 minutes.
We've come a long way, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, yes. I think the great change, really, has been the introduction of fiberglass gliders.
Yes.
And that's meant that from just downwind cross countries or downwind flights or just local flying, one can now go almost around the country.
Young people coming in today have really got something to look forward to. Would you agree with that statement?
So, yes, I think so. I think it's a sport that young people can really enjoy. There's so much scope, not only with the gliding, but all the activities that go on around the club.
Chris, it's wonderful to see you back. We know that you're having a super time. I guess for all of us, seeing the Spitfire today evokes many nostalgic memories. Have a super day, and let's not wait another good few years before we see you back here again.
Yep.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you very much indeed. Looking forward to coming back there again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony, first flight in a glider, Battle of Britain Day, September 15th, 1990. How was it?
Thoroughly enjoyable, most interesting, most interesting.
Have you ever been in a glider before?
Never, no.
Light aircraft?
I've been wanting to for a long time.
Right.
For years I've been wanting to go up in one, and I had my opportunity today. Yes, I've been in light aircraft in pretty rough weather, yes, in Malaya.
Nice and calm for you today?
Oh, today, yes, no problems at all.
What did you feel about the views? All those little...
Well, it was lovely. I mean, one of the things I wanted was to look at Storrington from the air and, try and identify places, and it was fascinating to me.
And the Downs and the South Coast?
Yes, we couldn't see very well. It was a bit hazy up there, but we could just about see the coast, and Chanctonbury Ring eventually came into view. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Jolly good. Something you'd like to do again?
Oh, yes, I would, yes.
Why don't you come down and visit Southdown again?
Well, maybe I will.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much,
Pleasure.
Anthony. Glad you enjoyed the experience.
Pleasure.
It's as well to remember that on this Diamond Jubilee of Southdown Gliding Club that we owe also a debt of gratitude to the Royal Air Force. And today, on our Diamond Jubilee, as already mentioned, it's the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Britain. We're proud and pleased to see members of Royal Air Forces Association Home at Sussex Down, which is in the same village of Storrington, here on the field today with us. As you can see, they're lined up against this wonderful Mark 9 Spitfire. We hope that they've had as much a thrill as we have in seeing this wonderful aircraft today, and look forward to welcoming all of them back here at any time. Thank you very much, Sussex Down. Paul Fritsch, cross-country pilot. Paul, when did you first start to learn to fly?
Started gliding about 5 years ago. I used to live close to the club, so I came down one day for a trial flight and just got hooked.
And today, I believe this year and last year, you flew in the junior nationals in this country.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
You'd describe it as a combination of skills, I guess, but perhaps the most important skill is the one of determination.
Yeah. I mean, when things get tough, you can be a long way from base at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening when the thermals are starting to get very poor, and it's then that you've really got to keep yourself going and keep the concentration up to try to get yourself back home again. And that feeling when you do get home after scraping a low somewhere is fantastic. This instrument's the airspeed indicator. It just tells us how fast we're flying. It's 40 knots, that's 50 knots. This one's the altimeter. It tells us how high we are. It just winds up like a clock. Big hand points to hundreds of feet, and the little hand points to thousands of feet. And these instruments here tell us whether the glider is actually going up or going down, and the speed that it's going up. It's going up at 2 feet a second or 4 feet a second, and they're the ones that we use when we're actually trying to use the thermals and trying to go cross country. And this is the most important instrument, the piece of string. It tells you if you're flying straight or not. If you're flying sideways, the string's like that, and if you're flying straight, the string's like that. What are the conditions like? Beginning to look quite good. Yeah, so hopefully go somewhere today. But I haven't got anyone to come and pick me up, so I'll sort that out nearer the time. I think it's when you start to fly, when you start to glide, it seems like a mountain that you've got to climb. But I think you've just got to keep going. You've just got to keep sort of the next goal in sight all the time, because it's worth it. Because once you get cross country and you're flying fiberglass gliders cross country and going longish distances, it's fantastic.
That sounds great. So next year, winning the national championships and getting into the British team, we wish you a lot of luck, Paul. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Chris.
Every club has its characters, not least Southdown. Amongst our members, Captain Vic Davies, well known for his humour and flying exploits, has a little story to tell us.
Well, basically, we've done an airspeed record in a particular class of aeroplane between London and Amsterdam, Amsterdam and London, and London, Amsterdam, London, a combination of 3 records, starting from basically from Biggin Hill to Hilversum and back, which are accepted points as far as speed records between London and Amsterdam are concerned.
Terrific. Now, don't be so modest about it. This is the what record this year?
Well, this is the third set of 3. The first was the London-Paris on the 14th of July, the same combination, which was London, Paris, Paris, London, London, Paris, London. And on the 5th of September was London, Brussels, Brussels, London, London, Brussels, London. So it ends up with a claim of 9 records, basically, in a period of 2 months. So it hasn't gone too bad, fortunately. Only one we had to abort due to weather, which was to go to Manson, but we tried again the next week and we got it on the Brussels one.
That's pretty fantastic, particularly for a young up-and-coming lad like yourself. Now, the big problem, of course, here at the gliding club is, what about the gliding? Have you done much gliding this year?
Well, I've done a little bit, not as much as I should, really. I was wondering if people don't start to query it a bit, but I do like my gliding, but I'm also a tug pilot here, so that keeps me considerably occupied on a Wednesday when I do like to glide. But hopefully next year we'll have a bit more gliding and concentrate on that a bit more.
Splendid. It could be fair to say that I think you're also the club's honorary comedian. In going to Holland today, did you manage to pick anything up on the way?
Metaphorically or physically?
Well, you can take that either way, Vic.
Well, no, I kept myself pure and chaste, and all that.
And splendid, and all the RT work was handled
perfect.
efficiently?
All the radar people, Dutch radar, Kent radar, they all very helpful and put us through Rotterdam airport. They put us through Ypenburg, which is a military zone, and there was quite a lot of activity over there today, and particularly at Hilversum, where they glide, they power fly, they do banner towing, everything from the one airfield. So it's quite a busy strip.
Super. What's it going to be next year, Vic? Anything planned?
It's going to race next year. That's King's Cup and everything like that. It won't do any more at the moment records, but next year it'll do what the second thing it was supposed to do, which was to air race. So hopefully it will do the Schneider on the Isle of Wight, the King's Cup and all those. So that's what we hope for next year.
Vic, fantastic, great achievement. We all love you. Keep it up. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me come into the field. Yes.
One of the really exciting things about gliding is new people coming into the sport. And from their very early beginnings, they learn how to control the aircraft and learn some of the joys of being up there in the air. Now that great day, when it comes, of being asked to fly the aircraft on their own, is something that every pilot throughout the world, ever since man invented the aeroplane, is an experience that nobody else can understand. It's important today that we recognize some of our younger pilots. And we're now going to talk to one of our latest solo pilots, Bob Adam, who just 6 weeks ago took his first flight.
Correct.
Bob, many congratulations on going solo last week.
Thank you, Chris.
Tell us a little bit about your training over the last 6 weeks.
I've been down here about 10 hours on each flying day, but since the 5th of August, I've put in 60 flights, and I've now been solo, and I've been solo for the first time yesterday on a single-seater. And I can really confirm what Chris says. The first time you go solo, the first time you pull the plug and you're on your own, it's great.
Bob, for old fellas like ourselves,
Yes?
what do you say to the up-and-coming generation of young people who might like to fly?
If you've got the time and the dedication and enough money, give it a go.
Bob,
What I would
once
say-
again, many congratulations. Thanks very much, and we continue to look forward to seeing you down here every day that we fly. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Chris.
Here we are at the end of a most exciting day on our 60th anniversary, and I'm joined now by Brian Bateson, chairman of the club. Brian, how has today been for you?
Excellent. It really has been a pleasure to get so many people to the airfield that haven't been here before, to get a chance to fly, to see gliding, and to enjoy the day overall. A first-class day.
A lot of work has gone into this week and into today. Perhaps you'd like to say something about the organisation and the many people that have helped.
The club members, quite honestly, this week have pulled everything out of the hat. I must admit I had a few misgivings about this a while ago, that the effort needed was too great for the club to do. But it's not been the case. People have performed fantastically. Thursday in particular, when I was down here, was a marvellous day. Today's been another marvellous day. And the PR advantages we've got from this week have been well worth every single second of effort that went into it. I really do.
So perhaps a 60th anniversary every week.
Well, certainly maybe 61st next year, or 62nd the year after. How about that?
Why not? But on that point, on looking at the future, here we are, a club of approximately 300 members today. How do you see the club over the next few years developing?
The demand is there for flying, for leisure pursuits with air sports, and I think the club will inevitably grow. It will inevitably go forward with its type of aircraft and types of flying it does. Time will tell what airspace restrictions do and what fuel costs do, but I should imagine the club will just continue to develop along similar lines to the present development lines.
So you're confident about the future?
I think we have a reason to be confident about the future.